In this video, I want to take a look at a game which I played a couple of months ago against, let's call him Clark. So, he's a much better player than the other two players that I've done videos on recently. And, well, for that reason, the analysis is a little bit more difficult for me to do. And so, really, most of the analysis is pretty much computer analysis. But I'm not using Stockfish, so if you analyze it with Stockfish, it's going to tell you that a lot of the moves are not that very accurate. And I believe this is the last move that I wrote down during the game, because here I think I was down to like 30 seconds. It was a 10-minute game with no increment, so the rest of the game from here I pretty much reconstructed from memory. So I played a Ponziani, and here my opponent already blundered with knight g4. There's three moves that are better. Queen e7, probably the worst. Knight d5, probably the best move, and knight e4, probably the second best move. And just a sample line would be to take. And rook e1 is not the best move, but I thought it was interesting. And for knight d5, well, you can take. And I think this should be good for white, if I'm remembering correctly. And knight e4. This is a pretty interesting line, because here it looks like white is just winning the knight for free, but it's actually not that simple. After queen takes, you have this check, and if you go bishop d2, you have queen takes, and obviously if you go knight d2, you have the same problem. And well, after knight c3, won't you just take twice, and the rook is dropping. So here, after knight g4, I wouldn't say the win is trivial, but white has a pretty significant advantage. And well, here the move that the computer gives is f6, which, okay, this engine is not very good, but you know, if you're watching, you probably couldn't beat this engine. In fact, I don't think even Magnus Carlsen could beat it. So, but still, just look at, it's like over plus 2. So, and here, yeah, there's all these threats. You have queen b3, knight g5 check, even bishop g5, which is not even one of the top 3 moves, is also winning. And a3, apparently h3 immediately is better. And I think this is a very interesting position, because I just like positions where you castle on opposite sides of the board, and I just like these very sharp positions. Instead I played a3, and well, I can't remember the last time I probably played both h3 and a3 in the same game. Probably like 10-15 years ago. And this line, this one I think is very interesting. Yeah, here there's this move which at first I was like, whoa, bishop takes on f2. And you have this check. And yeah, this is just crushing. So most of these lines are, I think, very entertaining because one side is getting crushed. Usually it is black that's getting crushed, but in a few of the lines it's actually white that's losing. I was very surprised when my opponent played this move, bishop f5. I wasn't expecting it. In fact, I wasn't expecting him to allow me to take on h6. I thought he would play king g7. And here knight h4. It's not a very good move. Here you have to take back on e4. You can't take the bishop. I mean, you can, but the position would be pretty much equal. And yeah, this is just completely winning for white. And bishop c4 is just like, well, the whole point is that you are sacrificing the bishop in order to be able to move this knight and threaten checkmate. So you have forced mate in 8 moves. And here I immediately took the bishop. I probably should have waited. And here I was also surprised that he took with the f pawn. I thought he would take with the h pawn. And here I also was surprised by this move. I thought just d5 and bishop a2 would be better, because, well, if I want to play bishop b1 at some point in order to have potential ideas of sacrificing, then I have to move the rook first. So I think it just gives black more time to get the queen and this rook into the game. Obviously, I can't take because, well, there's a pin, so you can't take. And here I just thought that knight takes on d4 is too greedy. I thought you had to like really develop your pieces, but that's because I missed a move that black has, knight f5. So after b4, well, the engine came up with this move, which I thought was very interesting. I would have never really considered that move. c6, and now knight e4, which is attacking the bishop that's defending the knight, which is being attacked by the rook. So yeah, knight f5 is just a very good move because it gains the tempo, which is a very crucial tempo. And now bishop d4, which is a very good defensive move. You can see that the engine actually prefers black, because, well, now that you have the bishop here, the bishop is going to go to g7, and it pretty much cancels out any weaknesses that black had on the dark squares. So I think that's just a brilliant way to defend. And here knight f5, the move that I missed. And here I blundered with queen f4. Fortunately for me, my opponent did not see it and blundered back with this move. After knight e3, this line gets pretty crazy. Bishop f7 takes. You don't capture back the the knight, you just push the pawn, queen e7, and then you have this check. The point is that you want to deflect the knight and bring it back, because white's idea is just to go knight g5 with the threat of queen h7 mate, so black would have to give up the queen. And after this, well, now you can rescue the knight and you can take a pawn, but after rook f6, white has nothing better than queen h4, and well, after this is pretty much game over and white is pretty lost. Instead, my opponent blundered back with taking on e5, and I was just like, I could not believe it. And here, well, the only reasonable move is just to bring the knight back to g7, but the knight here is just terrible. It's pinned, and this king is looking very weak. And here I missed the win, I believe, with knight f7 check, after which you have to take, otherwise you lose the queen. Check, and that's game over. But here I was down, probably down to less than 2 minutes, and my opponent, because I've beaten him so many times, I think psychologically it was very difficult for him to play, because he doesn't often get a winning position against me, and when he does, well, he was, I think, just playing quickly in order to make me burn more time on the clock, especially because I was writing down the moves. And well, this is actually a pretty big problem for him, because I've had positions against him where I'm completely lost, and he would take a draw by repeating the position 3 times, or he would allow me to repeat the position 3 times, even though my position was just lost. And this has happened probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. And well, here I don't really have that much of an advantage anymore. And this is the last move that I wrote down, and when I got home I recreated the rest of the game from memory, but pretty much every move is a blunder here. Maybe not every move, but pretty close. And here, yeah, I have to take with the rook, and I should be okay. Instead I blundered, pretty much final blunder of the game. And here I'm losing everything. And well, after this I just resigned, because if I take the rook, well, this is just hopeless. But I think you learn a lot more from your losses than from your wins, and well, that's kind of why I played this opening against him, because if I lose every once in a while, at least I give him some hope, and if I keep just beating him every game, eventually he might not want to play me anymore. So I hope that you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.